And we're out the blocks.
Go on, get in here. We have to witness this.
Must see TV.
I've been waiting on this.
Bro, they have almost over 50K comments. Oh, dang. 50K comments on this video on YouTube.
Wow.
So,
These sound a little... Oh, no. We turned on the mic. This volume, huh?
Yeah.
oh, wait. You sound a little low.
Well, if it's... I can hear. I didn't know if the mic was low. But it's just the headphones low.
Oh, crap. We got to get to the video.
Okay, all right.
We used to do this in football in 6th grade on 3rd down.
Wake that up.
Y'all go ahead and get in here, man.
What's up?
You can put it up there, Taj,
The Breakfast Club.
so we can see what the people says. Now, I don't know which one's going to be worse, this one or for Vex.
I think this one's pretty bad because he's black.
Yeah,
So it's black
I think
people
it is.
attacking him.
Yeah, and it just seems like they're just destroying Republicans at this point, bro.
They have a agenda.
But we don't go ahead and get into it.
Chat up.
They have that same...
That's big, too. I like how you read that now.
He made it big.
Oh,
Who's
I
that
like
boy?
that.
Yeah.
Smart, nice.
I like that, man.
Hey, if y'all like when we do the
Kentucky.
live, comment a W.
Brandon Tay. What up, 420?
Brandon Tay Glory.
420.
Alrighty, guys.
I miss my dog 420.
504 in the house, Nolan's.
It ain't no excuse to miss this live. It's Saturday. Ain't nothing on
About to
TV.
peep a massacre. Uh-oh.
There's no reason why you shouldn't stay in this live the whole time. Ain't
No
nothing on TV.
reason.
When the Notre Dame game? Come on.
It's on now.
Oh, damn. Well, hey.
Y'all can
Notre
rewatch
Dame's
it.
playing who? USC?
No, Navy.
Oh, that, yeah.
Wow, nobody want to watch that.
Yeah, guys. Okay, so we finna watch Larry Elder apparently destroy the Breakfast Club. So let's go ahead and get into this.
Somebody said, "What's up, Brandon?" I didn't see who said that, but what up?
All right, let's go ahead and get it. Oh, we have this thing, guys.
Hold on.
What?
Please
Wow,
move
so
that
what-
cord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, do it gently.
Get my water. Let's get it going, guys.
They said don't waste our time.
Talking about the football game. Are they up 21?
Oh, for real?
That's
Yeah.
insane.
That ass up. In the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlemagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have Teslin Figueroa with us. And we got a special
Teslin,
guest
I
in the
hate her.
building.
She sucks.
2024 Republican presidential
That black lady?
presidential candidate, Larry Elder. Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. It is
so viral.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
He does more than that, though. I mean, he was a radio host.
Radio host for 40 years.
Author, TV host.
Author,
New York
host.
Times best-selling list. I've got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Corner of Hollywood and Vine, southeast corner. Just saying.
Okay.
I didn't know you had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, man.
Yeah. About a
That's
handful
crazy.
of radio guys do, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, I think it's you, Elvis Duran,
Angie
Howard
Martinez.
Stern,
Yeah.
Big Boy. Oh,
That's
Angie.
tough.
Well, I thought I actually might have seen his name.
Yeah.
So
Damn,
let's
chat's
jump
gone
right
already.
into it. Why are you running for president?
Well, I'm running as an America First mega guy, and we have an America First mega guy running, obviously. So the question is, what do you bring to the table?
You said MAGA.
MAGA.
Okay.
And the answer is I bring a lot of issues to the table that I feel our side is not talking enough about, if at all. For example, the number one social problem in America by far is the epidemic not of COVID, but of fatherlessness. 70% of black kids today enter the world without a father in the home married
Damn.
to the mother.
70?
25% back in 1965. Now 25% of white kids enter the world today without a father in the home married to the mother. And the stats are clear. Even Barack Obama once cited them. If you're raised without a dad, you're 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in jail. What's happened? In the mid-'60s, with I think the best of intentions, a Democrat named Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. And since then, we have incentivized women to marry the government and incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. You know, when I say this to people, the pushback I get is, well, there are lots of things that are going on, systemic racism, poverty. Here's the problem. If you look at a young black male, age 10 to 43, that's young to me because I'm 71 years old. A young black man in that demo is 13 times more likely to be murdered than a young white man, same demo. Young black man, real young, 19 and under, the number one cause of preventable death is homicide, almost always at the hands of another young black male.
That's insane.
Same demo for whites. The number one cause of preventable death is unintentional deaths. That includes drug overdoses, automobile accidents, drownings. It's not until they get to number 4 that death is the cause. In America, 60% of
We
the
are
shootings,
own exterminators.
the robberies, and the homicide to kidnapping are committed by black people, often against other black people. Of the homicides in this country, half of them are black victims, almost all killed by other blacks. How do you explain that if it isn't for the absence of fathers? Are you prepared to say black people are just genetically inclined to commit more crime? I doubt it. And the go-to reaction often is poverty and systemic racism. Here's the problem. 1940, when there was blatant racism, this is before Brown versus Board of Education, before the Civil Rights Act of 64,
Right.
KKK was still alive and well, 87% of blacks lived under the poverty line. Now it's about 14%.
Oh, wow.
You can't blame it on poverty. You can't blame it on racism.
You can't.
It is the breakdown of the nuclear intact family, and neither side is talking about it. The left doesn't talk about it because they caused it with the welfare state, and our side does not talk about it because if you're white, you'll be accused of dissing single moms who are heroically raising these kids, or you'll be accused of being a racist, or if you're black, you'll be accused, as I was by the LA Times, of being the black face of white supremacy.
Wow.
Nobody's talking about that. I am.
What are the reasons?
He just went hard real quick.
Statistics are right. What are the
Spit
reasons
facts.
that you think fathers
All
aren't in the home?
facts.
As I said, it's because in the mid-'60s, Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. And Charlemagne literally...
They said they
sent
need the
social
volume
workers
up.
door to door in the inner
This is
city. I
it's
remember
low
this.
on our end, too. I don't know
Advising women of
what
the
problem is.
availability of...
Let's see if we can get.
See if we can get the chat back up.
I think it was. I don't know.
It's the video, bro.
Yeah, it's the video.
Yeah, I think we were also having.
You turn this down right here.
when I watched a clip of it.
welfare provided there was no man.
Oh, that helps. Something helps.
You just turned our headphones up, is what you turned up,
I
Salah.
know, but did this help?
But why'd you turn our headphones up?
Because it was low when I was hearing it too.
Or can you turn mine down?
Which one's yours?
The blue one.
Dang, they rolling us out.
Are they?
Yeah, we always do have a problem, but it's all right, fellas.
Advising women of the
Volume.
It's literally just quiet, guys. I don't know what they want us to do.
Because in the mid-'60s, Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty.
That's it.
And Charlemagne
Yeah,
literally...
it's
they
literally
sent
just a
social
quiet
workers.
video.
Yeah, I think that's it.
It's quiet in the headphones, too.
No, we fixed it. We fixed it.
Yeah, it seemed a little louder.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's get it.
Bear with us.
Let us know if we fixed it.
Well, yesterday you started yelling on. I said, "Oh my gosh!"
No, yeah.
That was loud as hell.
That sucks.
That's why I tell them turn mine
I
down.
think fathers aren't in the home.
As I said, it's because in the mid-'60s, Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. And Charlemagne, literally, they sent social workers door to door in the inner city. I remember this. Advising women of the availability of welfare provided there was no man in the house. It created an economic incentive for women to marry the government. Same thing with whites. In 1965, 8% of whites entered the world without a father in the home married to the mother. Now it's about 25%, also up threefold. Look at census data, 1910, 1920, 1930, in places like Milwaukee, Chicago, Philadelphia, a young black kid was slightly more likely to be brought into a world with a father in the home married to the mother than a young white kid. We have incentivized this kind of bad behavior, and it's had a disproportionately bad effect on the black community.
Let me ask you a question. What do white people
I agree.
do, Larry?
What do you mean, what do white people do? I'm not worried about white people. I'm worried about...
Dumbass
I
question.
hate Charlemagne, bro.
If there's systemic racism in this country, which we know it is.
No,
He didn't say
no,
that.
I don't say there is. You say there is. I don't believe that.
Oh, you don't believe there's
No,
systemic
there used to
racism?
be, obviously. Tell me what you think the number one systemic example of
Look,
systemic
he's
racism
reading off
is.
the screen. Watch.
Oh man, there's so
Just
many.
give me the most important one you think.
But at the top of mind, I'd probably maybe say mass incarceration. Maybe.
Really? During the Great Depression, when 50% of black adults were unemployed, you didn't have this kind of mass incarceration. It's the breakdown of the family. There's a direct...
I'm not going to. I
Can
agree
pause
with,
this?
with the family part. I'm a black man who is a father to his children, and I'm
Right.
a happily married
Right.
black man to a black woman.
So, okay. Can we blame it on the family structure? Because, like,
Well, I mean,
right before that, it was the crack. The crack era, then you
We
had
talking-
people tweaking out. You
well,
had to
I'm-
put them in check.
I mean,
You
I would
put-
blame it on the family because of all those statistics he just listed. You're 3 times more likely to be poor, 5 times more likely to commit crime,
20 times more likely to
drop out of school. Like,
But-
I mean, after you when you say that, then you put 85% of black kids don't have dads, and all those
70s,
statistics
yeah.
are linked to people with dads, I would say you can blame that on that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty. It's pretty.
There's
2
a
plus 2 is
correlation.
4. Yeah.
There's a correlation.
Yeah. This data stems from this. So I mean, I would blame it on that.
But it boils down to the choice for each individual, like you saying. You about to say probably, but
No, I was gonna say.
I was about to say the crack epidemic in the 80s, but that only affected certain communities. That didn't affect everybody.
Like I said, you ain't had to take the crack either.
Yeah, but people didn't know. They just hit it and start tweaking
Can't
out.
be hitting
they
so,
shit out real quick.
Yeah, so like, okay, a lot of them people. I'm not justifying anything, but a lot of people did take crack around that time, and the people that was tweaking and all that stuff, they had to lock them up.
The crack was in the 80s. The
80s.
When they married the government was in the 60s. You got to pay attention. That's 20-year gap right there.
20 years. That's our age. That's
not our age.
That's not long.
We weren't born in the 80s.
No, I'm talking about 20 years is like us growing up.
That's a long time.
I mean, it was definitely a problem, but I can't say that is the main result of why.
I wouldn't blame crack. I would say fatherlessness.
White
If the
people
dad
doing
was on
crack
crack,
too.
if the dad went to jail for selling crack and now the mom's a single mom and she's on crack.
I'm not even talking about just selling. I'm talking about selling and using.
Okay, I
Crack.
just said if you listen to what I said, if the dad went to jail for selling crack, boom,
Right.
he's out the house. Now his mom, now it's a single mom left to raise the kids. Now all the negative statistics come. So mass incarceration can stem from that because Joe Biden pushed for people to go to jail for longer sentences for selling crack.
But crack affected a lot of communities, not just black people. So.
Facts.
Yeah.
Man who is a father to his children. I'm
Right.
a happily married
Right.
black man to a black woman, so I'm never going to argue with that part, you know. But I just feel like everything is black with you. Black is wrong. Black people do this and black people do that. And when I ask you what white people do wrong, you said you're not worried about white people at all.
I'm talking about the damage, disproportionate damage going on in the black community. For example, look at these smashing.
He's a
rapes
black
that are
leader
taking place
addressing
in
black
Los
issues in the
Angeles,
black community.
It's a
What's the
suburb called
problem?
Glendale, where at a mall recently, a mob of 30 to 40 people, they had masks on, but one guy got popped. He was a black, and I think most of those who were doing this were black. And in recent years and times, there have been a number of these in places like Chicago, places like New York. If I were involved in something like that, Charlemagne, I grew up with a dad, just as you're raising your own children. I would have been more afraid of my father than I would about the cops catching me. These kids are afraid of neither. They don't have a father in the home. Cops are demoralized. They're pulling back. Their manpower is short. And as a result, you tell a bad guy you're less likely to be caught, convicted, incarcerated, crime goes up. They may be criminals, but they're not stupid. When you say, what do white people do? I mean, this is a country that has struggled mightily to get over its historic racism. There was a civil war. There was a big civil rights movement. This is the only majority white country that's ever elected a black president, let alone re-elected a black president. The three biggest cities in America are New York, Chicago, L.A. They all have black mayors, even though no city has a majority of black population. The president of Harvard is a black female.
He is.
Martin Luther King in 1966, Charlemagne, gave an interview to the BBC. This is 2 years after the Civil Rights Act of 64 got passed. And he said, I'm amazed at how many positive changes there have been in America in the last 2 years. Why, if things keep going like this, we could have a black president in about 40 years' time. Do the math. Right on cue, Barack Obama elected 2008. He didn't say there'll be a black female president of Harvard, and there has been. He didn't say there are going to be black CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and there have been several. He didn't say the percentage of the House would equal the percentage of black people in the population, and it does. He didn't say the three largest cities would have black mayors, and they do. He didn't say the largest and most prestigious organization of doctors, the American Medical Association, would have 2 black presidents, and there have been. He didn't say the most prestigious organization of lawyers, the American Bar Association, would have 2 black presidents, and they have. He said president, meaning at that point, I can feel that I've reached the mountaintop, which is the speech he gave right before he got assassinated the day before. And now we act as if Barack Obama never even got elected. And we're still talking about systemic racism. It's not fair. It's wrong. And you're discouraging black people from working hard. 1996.
Damn.
Mr. Elder.
Oh,
shit. Here she goes.
The word racism, since that seems to be a word that triggers, a
University
conversation
of
down
Phoenix
the water hole.
graduate.
Let's just focus on the word system.
Okay.
You mentioned that the system was the one that discouraged. And again, we have no problem with agreeing that the family, the black family, should certainly has some room for some improvement. But let's just focus on system.
Room for improvement?
System.
A lot
Well,
of room.
we're not going to go down that water. We're not going to go down that water hole. Let's get to the
Water
question.
hole? What the fuck
so
is
the
a water
question
hole?
is, you said that the system encouraged
Sorry,
black women to be single mothers, correct?
I said the welfare state, yes.
The welfare, the system. So who's in charge of the system? Who's in charge of the system?
Well, it was Democrats that passed it.
And who were Democrats? Were they black or white at that time?
Well, at the time, majority of black people were Democrats, as the majority of black people are Democrats now.
Not the voters. I'm talking about
Well, the voters
system.
elect the
Remember, may
system.
not
Why are
use
you
the
trying
word
to?
system. Who was in charge of the system at the time? The Democrats at the time.
See, this
I'm
she's
just going
stupid.
to
This type of
Charlemagne's point
education you
about white or
get when you're a
black.
University
Was it
of
white
Phoenix
Democrats in
graduate.
charge of the
Chill.
system or black Democrats in charge of the system?
Well, if you're
Phoenix
prepared to
isn't that
say
bad.
that Lyndon Johnson did this viciously with an intent to destroy the black family, I disagree. He did it with the best of intentions.
No, I didn't ask you that.
And if you look at the New York Times, which is left wing, the Washington Post, which is left wing, they cheered all of
Got it.
this.
Right, and what I'm asking was it white people, so I'm going to ask again in case my mic's not coming through clearly. Was it white
have
people in
attitude,
charge of the
though.
system or black people in charge of that system that helped break down the black family? It's a simple yes, just a simple question, white or black?
Well, you didn't have to go on welfare unless you
Exactly.
voluntarily chose to go on welfare. The inducement was put there by Democrats, by
White
the
Democrats,
left.
correct? Okay. White
Well,
Democrats.
most
What
correct.
is
black
the point,
people
though?
were Democrats.
Yeah,
You have
when
to
they
choose
vote-
to do it or
voters, I
not.
said who's
Facts.
in charge
Vote
of the
these
system?
people in office.
Well,
Yeah.
who puts
Who's
them
in
in
charge?
But, like,
in charge?
they don't
Lyndon
force you to
Johnson
do
white
it.
or black?
Who put them in
Maybe
charge?
that'll
Well,
help you.
fine. Lyndon Johnson was white.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who put him in office?
He did it to us.
Because of
But black people
racism,
voted for Lyndon
Then I
Johnson.
disagree. He did it because
You have to
That's
sign
not
up for
my argument.
welfare,
I just asked
though.
you a simple question: was he white or black, Charlamagne?
And you know, Mr. L.
Just ask her a simple question. Was he white or black, Charlamagne?
She really thinks she be cooking.
She really thinks she be cooking.
Majority of those people are white males. What do you think about that?
Actually, if you look at the percentage of whites in America, which is 60%, the percentage of mass shooters is under that. The percentage of people that commit hate crime is under that. The percentage of people who are serial killers is under that. Black people are 13% of the population. We commit a greater percentage compared to that
But no,
of
you
mass
specifically
shootings.
talked about the smash and grabs, though. So I was saying, since you're using that as an example, I'm saying, well, what about, you know,
Charlamagne
shooters
make me hot,
that
bro.
are using-
I see why.
He's reading off his
They-
computer,
they're
bro.
usually white
Watch
males
him.
Because 60% of the country is white. However, they underrepresent in terms of the number of mass shootings. About 50% or so of the mass shootings in this country are committed by white people, even though white people are 60% of the population. They underrepresent. We overrepresent when it comes to hate crime, when it comes to mass shootings, when it comes to serial killings, when it comes to robberies, when it comes to virtually every category of violent crime. We overrepresent.
So what do white people do wrong?
I hate these
Well,
dudes.
it seems to me, rather than deal with what's going on, the pathology that's going on in the inner city, you want me to talk about how bad white people are, which I don't think is a particularly productive thing to do.
Well, I think
I'm talking.
I think
I'm talking.
there's a cause and effect, but you know, if we can't talk about the cause, which I believe is systemic racism and white supremacy, the FBI says.
Well, I just told you, if it's systemic racism, please explain
Black
to me how it
people
was when
was the first ones to win slavery.
America really had systemic racism in 1940. 87% of blacks lived under the poverty line. Again, this is during Jim Crow era. My father is from Athens, Georgia, grew up in Jim Crow. My mom is from Huntsville, Alabama, grew up in Jim Crow. 87% of blacks live below the poverty line. This is before Brown versus Board of Education.
Probably
You
because
did not find these kind of black-on-black crime.
Probably because we had no
But they
choice
still
but
were
to do it
living
ourselves.
below the poverty line, though, sir.
I'm sorry?
You're forgetting the fact that they were still living below the poverty line. You're picking and choosing, saying this was good, but this was bad.
Okay.
The bottom line, they end between the poverty line. But let's move forward on
Well,
this.
can I just add?
Money ain't gonna still
In
fix it. They're gonna wake up.
1940, 87% of blacks lived under the poverty line. 1960, that number had fallen to 47%.
It's like they
That's a
don't
40-point
like
drop
not
in
hearing
20
what
years.
he's saying.
That's the greatest 20-year period of economic expansion for black people in the history of America. Again, well before Brown versus Board of Education, well
This dude
before the
is coming with
KKK
facts.
imploded, well before we had race-based preferences. Why? Because it was rare for a black kid to be raised in a family without a father in the home. A strong belief in Judeo-Christian values, a belief in patriotism, even as America wasn't applying these values to black people, obviously, and a belief in entrepreneurship. All those things are now under assault by organizations like Black Lives Matter. Charlamagne, Black Lives Matter had on their website an attack on the nuclear family. The founders are self-described Marxists, trained Marxists. Marx wanted to dethrone God, was an atheist, and Marx did not believe in capitalism, let alone entrepreneurship. All the things that made black people still survive in virulent racism are now
Look how
under
you
attack
looking.
by
He don't know what
organizations
to
like
say.
Black Lives
But
Matter.
all of those things have always been under attack by white supremacy. You can go back to things like whether it's the Tulsa race massacres. Like every time black people do
Watch, he
create
gonna
these
rebuttal
systems
for this.
that are our systems, and we are the entrepreneurs. It seems like white supremacy finds a way to destroy it.
Every time, look, the Tulsa
Charlamagne.
massacre, within about 5 years, that whole area was rebuilt. It was not even called the Black Wall Street until after it was rebuilt. And it was rebuilt, by the way, by black people without one dime of government money.
Damn.
Yeah, but who destroyed it to begin with?
It was racists who destroyed it. No question
Okay,
about it.
just making
We've had race riots, but so have Japanese.
So you do agree that there's racism? I'm just so confused.
I never even came close to
moment
saying.
ago-
I never
a
came.
moment ago
I never
you
came
said
close. I never
racism-
came close to saying there was no racism.
You just saying you don't think it's systemic racism.
Not anymore. Obviously, there was. We had something called
But that was
slavery.
a
We had
system-
something called
but that was the
Jim
system
Crow.
that destroyed black. Hold on, sir. That was
I'm
the
sorry?
system that destroyed. That was the system that destroyed
University
Black
of
Wall Street.
Phoenix
It's the same
finest.
system right now that's not even wanting to pay those same living descendants. Because I know your position on reparations, but those same living descendants of Black Wall Street.
Okay.
And then you move, and then you go on to say that the system, the quote unquote system, is also trying to destroy President Trump. So I'm just so confused on: do you believe that the system can destroy or not? You pick and choose, sir, and that's what's so confusing.
What if we got some Lone Star graduates in the chat?
That's Lone Star. That's a physical college.
And Phoenix not?
No.
Phoenix University is not a college.
University of Phoenix is an online school.
Yeah.
Oh,
You never seen that with the little?
There's a
I thought they have a actual university.
no, they don't have a physical university.
That's like you go on there and chat.
Socratic.
I actually saw that on her LinkedIn
no.
profile. Is
Why
how I
is it
know that.
doing
That's
this
why I
to
was
me?
shading.
You went to her profile. Now I ain't gonna lie. Last time she pissed me off so bad, I went to the Instagram. I had to.
I DM'd her.
almost said something.
I DM'd her. Then I had to block her because I couldn't unsend it.
Oh my god.
I said you can't unsend DMs no more. Oh shit.
I see why every rapper.
This nigga here, bro.
I watched this,
pissed
bro.
me
I
off
was
that
so
bad.
mad. I was so mad after I watched this. Well, I didn't watch the whole thing. I was seeing clips like part 1, part 2 on TikTok. I was so mad. Like
You
I was
DM'd her
like,
after this one or the other one?
After
I
this
DM'd
one.
I DM'd her after the other
I was. It
one.
was like
my
because
boy
remember we
Vivek.
was out of town. I was laying in the bed. I was watching it.
Yeah, man.
I was like, what is this? I remember I sent it to y'all. And I was like, man, I was so hot. I just went
this
DM'd. I
is
said
just
you are. I
ugly,
said you are
man.
such a clown.
Black Entertainment.
So I
Breakfast
don't
Club.
understand how you got
It
to this
wasn't
point.
racism. Now it is racism. When it was
I
time
said-
to
I
build
said-
it back,
I said it
there
wasn't-
was no racism.
I
I'm
said
so
it wasn't
confused.
systemic racism. Let's talk about.
So what?
let's-
Are
let's-
you just hung up on the word system?
Can I just make this point,
Yeah,
Charlamagne,
I'm
please?
sorry,
Let's take Chinese Americans. Chinese Americans were the first ethnic group to be excluded with an immigration act in the late 1800s. They had riots against Chinese in L.A., in San Francisco. There were laws that prevented Chinese Americans from participating in the laundry business. I'm in California. California, of course, rounded up Japanese Americans during World War II. There were laws that prevented Japanese Americans from owning farmland. The average Japanese American household has a higher per capita income than the average white household. The average Chinese American household has a higher per
freaking
capita income
excuse.
than the average white household. How does that happen? It happens because of a strong belief in family. It is rare for a Chinese American or a Japanese American kid to have a child outside of wedlock, and a strong belief in education and a strong belief in entrepreneurship. These are the kinds of qualities that make people successful.
You can't blame everything on having a fatherless family, right?
Yes, you
I didn't say
can.
blaming
I
everything.
know, but that's what you're saying. You're
Well,
saying a strong
I
community.
guess
But
No, you said
talk
that's
about
what
the
I just
Asian
said. I
community,
didn't say
but
that.
You talk about the Asian community. Asian community, it's easy for them to get loans for entrepreneurships. It's easy for them to get loans for houses. You look
'cause
at our
y'all- they
community.
got better
It
credit.
wasn't,
Really
though.
They have
talk
better
about our
credit.
community, right? You look at the schools in our community. Some of our schools are the worst, right? Would you agree with that?
Because of what?
Absolutely, which
Right,
is why,
don't have Wi-Fi, don't have education,
which is
don't
why
have
one
books.
of the reasons I'm running for president is for school choice.
Also, would you say that it's in our
That's
community
also
is
systemic. by the way.
it's also in our community is heavy food deserts. There's nothing but fast food places that are just killing and destroying that. Would you say that's true?
Systemic too.
Boy.
They can't afford
Would you
it.
say that's true? I'm just asking a question.
You said a number of things. I just addressed one of them about loans. In 1965,
Walmart left Chicago.
Barack Obama, who was in private practice, joined a bunch of other lawyers to file a class action lawsuit against Citicorp, which is
He's
headquartered here in New
cooking,
York.
man.
186 black people were applying for loans for mortgages and didn't get them, and they accused Citicorp of engaging in racism. Citicorp said, no, it's not racism. You have poor credit scores, and we want to make sure we get our money back. Obama joined a bunch of other lawyers, and they sued Citicorp in a class action lawsuit, and Citicorp said, okay, to hell with it. Gave them all loans. And they followed them all up. Daily Caller did a few years later. Almost all of them lost their homes. Several of them filed for bankruptcy. One of them even said, you know,
You want that loan,
when
buddy?
you
Here
don't
you go.
qualify for a loan, maybe we shouldn't get a loan. Well, duh. It wasn't true that black people were not getting loans. Plus, there are all sorts of black-owned community banks around the country, and it turns out
killed
the
that argument.
turn-down rate when you apply for a loan at a community bank was even higher because they had less capital and they couldn't afford to loan money to risky people. It is just not the case.
I'm sorry, but I even believed that for a second though. I was like, when people tell me about systemic racism, I'm like, okay, yeah, the loan situation might be a little problem.
But
Till I heard that.
when we watched that Officer Tatum video, he was like, "Why would they deny you for making a loan when they make money when they approve loans?" So it's
Yeah.
like
It's all about that
it's like
score.
basically you coming in and like, oh, I'm not gonna make money today because you're black. That is
No.
the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
If that score is 320,
Killed that argument. Everybody needs to hear that.
That the reason for the plight of the black community is because people were not lending money to them. It's just not true.
That's not true. But
yeah,
hold on one second, Charlamagne. But see,
What's not
you
true?
bring about facts of 1965, right? Let's talk 2023, right?
I said 1995.
1995. We talk 2023, right? My son will be successful in real estate and successful in buying a house. You know why? Because his father owns his house.
Because
his
of
father
you.
owns a house, right? But my father
Because
and
of you and
his
the drive.
sister and
Because of
his-
you and the
his
drive you
family
put into
did
him.
not own houses.
Because of you and the drive you put into
him.
him.
If we're not gonna have a conversation,
I mean, you're not even appreciating what you've done to your son.
I'm just asking you a question. I just let you speak and I'll let
All
you
right.
talk.
Okay.
You look high.
We have a conversation.
All right.
But when we talk about it,
The
right,
son ain't
it's
gonna be
harder
shit.
for our community to get loans, right? And not just because of poor credit scores. It's because of where the areas are. You talked about the Asian community. A lot of the Asian community have their own banks and they're able to process and get their own banks. There's not too many African American branches that are able to give out money. So that's one. Then let's talk
So
about
make one,
getting
nigga.
grants for schools. They're not even giving grants for schools at the rate that they're giving grants for white people.
That's probably
Let's
because
talk
they're
about
not
when they talk
graduating
Make a
from
grant,
schools.
nigga.
they are giving
Affirmative
so much money to
action.
these white and Asian kids and
Because
Asian
they're
people doing
succeeding.
it, and a thousand times less than our community. Would
Because
you
your
agree to
community
that?
is failing.
No, I don't. I don't agree with virtually any of what you just now said. The turn down rate for a white
He look like
applicant
OJ.
for a mortgage is higher than the turn down rate for a Japanese or a Chinese applicant for a mortgage. Now, are you telling me that banks are discriminating
That's less
against
though,
white and in
no.
favor of Asian Americans? It's because their credit scores are better. They often live below their means. They save more, even when they're making the same amount of money than black people do. If you have poor credit score, you're not going to get a loan. Period. End of statement. Even the
sir,
head
it's
of
more white
even the head of
people.
Urban League, even the head of Urban League, a black man once
Yeah,
said
it is
that if
more
you
white
have poor
people,
credit
though.
score, you're not going to get a loan. End of statement.
Sir,
Yes.
let's just, okay. When you were talking about crime, you weren't prepared to talk about disproportion. You talked about how it was more black people that was doing it, and then you talked about how we're the smaller, of the population. The same applies also to the loans. It's more white people than it is black people. You seem to pick and
I'm
choose.
talking about
when
the
you want
rate.
to do-
I'm talking
There's
about
Right.
more white
Whatever
people
it
than
is,
Asians
the
also.
bottom line is it's more white people than it is black people. And so if more black people are
That's his
getting
point.
not getting loans disproportionately, it seems you only want to apply the disproportion.
Well, they're
to the
disproportionately have
conversation
lower
when it
credit
benefits
scores.
the
I'm not.
talking
I'm not
to.
sure you
Dumbass.
understood.
Why they say-
I'm not sure you
I
understood.
understood.
I'm not sure you understood my point. That's why I mentioned
don't
in
understand, bro. She
1995
got that
when
University of
186 black
Phoenix
people who
education.
were not getting loans filed a class action lawsuit claiming that they were denied the loan because of racism. Citicorp said, okay, here are your loans. The reason I wasn't giving you the loans is because we're afraid you weren't going to be able to pay them back.
I'm not talking about
Fast
this,
forward,
sir.
they weren't able to pay them back, which proves
Sir,
the
I'm not
Citicorp
talking
point.
about that.
So what are you
I'm
talking
not
about?
I know you're
I'm
not,
talking about your
'cause
response.
inconvenient.
I'm talking about your response to Envy when you said more white people get approved for loans.
Since you
I'm
like
not talking
numbers,
about
I said-
Washington Post
I said-
said black Americans have the highest denial rates for purchase and refinance of loans, according to Home Mortgage Disclosures Act.
Because
He
12%
told you
credit
why.
score. And all credit scores are the same. 15% of Hispanic loan applicants were denied, compared with about 11% of white and 10% of Asian applicants with same credit scores.
It's
And
all
that's
around the
Washington
same,
Post, since you
kinda,
love
wasn't
numbers
it?
so much, and I know you
15,
do. That's
11.
coming
I'm
from
not-
the Washington Post. That's 2023, not
I
1995.
can show you a study
got
that
it.
says the opposite.
Let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
Mr. Elder. Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and I'm pretty sure everybody who just caught a RICO with him in Georgia, they all had fathers, and they still ended up in jail. How did that?
Nobody
Well, let
said.
me help-
Nobody
Oh,
said.
he just asked how 3 millionaires ended up in jail.
Nobody said if you didn't have a father, you were going to jail. My father never.
But
knew
guess
it.
what you did say,
Can-
Mr.
can-
Elder?
can-
I'm sorry,
may-
respectfully.
May I
Guess-
answer?
no,
May I
let
answer
me
his
say this.
question?
Guess what you did say?
May I answer
I'm
his
gonna-
question?
because I know-
They swear black people don't do no
My father
cause
never
no
knew his
problems.
biological father. He
Black
got
people
thrown
just
out of the house
innocent.
They know
when
that.
he was 13
They
years
know
old.
damn
Eighth
well
grade
that's not
dropout,
true.
Jim Crow South, Athens, Georgia. Fast forward, my dad cleaned toilets, 2 full-time jobs cleaning toilets when I was growing up. Went to night school to get his GED, and then after that, he went to night school to learn how to operate a small restaurant. Age of 47, my dad saved his nickels and dimes from his job, starts a small restaurant near downtown LA. Fast forward, he retires in his 80s. He owned that restaurant. He owned property next door, plus the house that's still in our family. Not too shabby for somebody who did not know his biological father. It's not a death sentence. You still have choices. It's just much more difficult to raise a child on your own. Even Tupac Shakur said, "I know for a fact." Tupac. I know for a fact. Had I had a father, I would have been more confident. I would have been more disciplined. End of quote.
Well, how did all those white men end up in jail when they still?
It was
had-
quick for that. Tupac.
Oh, he getting up in jail 'cause he has a RICO case against him. You fucking idiot. Oh,
Because some
gosh.
people commit crimes.
No, sir.
Gosh.
Stop. My apologies for interrupting you earlier. I just couldn't stomach the answer that I knew you were going to say.
Couldn't stomach the answer?
Yeah, I couldn't stomach because your actual answer to Trump being what was happening to him with the indictments, you actually said that the system was doing it. You said there was a two-tier system. This is
right.
your words.
That's right.
That it was a two-tier system.
That's right.
So when it came to Trump, all of a sudden you now believe in this systematic thing that's happening to Trump.
How could systematic racism
it's not about race.
Trump?
It's not.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you. Remember,
Is she for real?
Easy for you, and I took race out of it. Remember, I said I'm just talking about the system.
Yeah, I was with you.
I'm just talking about the
That
system.
kills the point about racism
If you
because
ask me whether
Trump
I
got hit
believe
with a
Donald
Rico
Trump
with
is
all
being
these
treated the
rappers.
same way as Joe
Shit.
Biden, and he's being
No, I
treated
didn't
the
ask
same
you
way as
that.
Hillary Clinton.
they're being
All these
racist
people
to
are
Trump.
white. All these people are white. There's a double standard.
I'm trying not to say
Mr. L,
something
you
crazy
didn't
because
hear
we
my
on live.
You said that
You
they
didn't hear
Can't
my
get it up
question.
toothpaste back in the tube.
that Trump, Giuliani, them, they committed a crime.
I don't know.
But you just said some people commit crime.
I said some people committed a crime. I didn't say Donald Trump committed a crime. If you ask me specifically whether I believe Donald Trump committed a crime, I don't.
I don't think it did either.
And why they ended up in jail, and they all got fathers.
Well, Donald Trump is not in jail.
Oh, he got indicted.
Yeah, he got indicted. That's a far cry from being in jail.
Dumbass.
Imagine question.
Why did he get indicted?
He got arrested, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
he got
He's
it.
going to get arrested.
He got
He's been arrested.
he got indicted, in my opinion, because the DOJ has a double standard. They let Hillary pass, for example. She clearly violated the Espionage Act by having an unsecured server in her basement.
Don't even know what he talking about.
She paid
They
for
don't know
the
about
Steele
that.
dossier. She
So was
destroyed.
it the
She
system?
destroyed 30,000 emails that were under
yeah.
subpoena.
Smashed it with
and
a
she got
hammer.
a wrist slap. And Donald
Let
Trump
it
is
go.
now being indicted, I think, for the fourth
We're
time.
our own
It's unfair.
Breakfast Club need to
Black
burn
people
what
tell
the
you how
system?
corrupt the
BET
FBI
owns
is
it.
for a long time.
And
That's
the
what
FBI
makes
has been
sense.
corrupt. There was COINTEL, the FBI,
J. Edgar Hoover.
J. Edgar Hoover also wiretapped MLK under Robert Kennedy, a Democrat
And Malcolm X,
Attorney
and
General, Malcolm X, lots of things. Right. And I find it interesting how the same people who criticize the FBI historically are now defending the FBI because they're going after Donald Trump.
Oh, we're not defending the FBI.
I didn't say you were. I said some of the same people.
We're just looking and saying, damn, finally.
What's your thoughts on
I hate this nigga.
And you see
bro.
that they're trying to
Bill
take out
Dud
history out of these history
Bro,
books.
that's why
and
Lil
not trying
Kim,
to
man,
teach
he
our
was
Hold on,
history.
this is a good one.
What's your
I
thoughts on
find it interesting that the Democrats are the ones complaining about Florida. This is a party of slavery, party of Jim Crow, the party of the KKK, the party of the Southern Manifesto.
They don't want to. They don't want to admit that.
The party of Dred Scott, the party that I said earlier destroyed the nuclear intact family, and the party that is opposing school choice. And now they want to lecture Florida on making sure the proper history of slavery is taught. I don't know anybody who's defending slavery. Anybody. Not Ron DeSantis. He's not defending.
People benefited from slavery.
Actually, you're talking about one
Well,
line.
actually,
you're talking about one
there
line
is
in about
somebody-
127 pages of the study, and it is a line that was repeated almost verbatim in the associated in the advanced placement African American course that the DeSantis administration refused to use because of all of the sexual stuff that was in it. It's basically the same thing that
They
was
need
in
to let
the
Larry up
advanced
there.
placement African American courses, and now because it's in that, all of a sudden the governor is accused of somehow defending slavery. He's not doing anything of the sort.
I like Larry a
Well,
lot.
sir, you were actually one that defended slavery. In your comments, you said that, like it or not, slavery was legal in response to reparations. So
was
it's
legal.
you that was defending
How's-
slavery, correct?
How you were literally.
He said it was
defending
wrong.
And saying that it's illegal are two very different things.
Well, it
Slavery,
was- that was a-
slavery,
that was-
slavery, slavery,
that was your
unfortunately,
response.
slavery,
Well, that was
unfortunately.
your response. That was
slavery-
your response into if reparations should
I-
should happen. So your response to that was, like it or not, slavery was legal, and one would think that that was a defense on.
I
those
mean-
who were
Well,
asking
what you would
for
think it was a
reparations.
defense,
Yeah, let
but
him
but
answer
it is not a defense. Unfortunately, slavery has
Well, it's
been part and
legal.
parcel of human history from the very beginning. Asians enslaved Asians, whites enslaved whites, blacks enslaved blacks, Native Americans enslaved Native Americans. This is a culture
Black
of Western
person pushed for
civilization
slavery in
that
America.
had a revulsion against it. We had a
it
civil
up.
war against it. And we ought to applaud
crazy.
ourselves for doing something about this. This is a flawed country. It's moving forward. It's becoming more perfect all the time. Today, if you are born and raised in America, if you finish high school, presumably one where you can read, write, and computer grade level, which is why I support school choice, don't have a kid before you're 20, get married first, get a job, keep a job, don't quit it until you get another job, and avoid the criminal justice system, you will not be poor. And if you don't follow that formula, there's a good chance you will be.
You know, the first GOP debate is coming up.
It's not
That was
that
lit.
hard.
You didn't qualify, and I saw you right.
Well, you didn't say,
Man, what type of
I've not yet not qualified. It's not until
Yeah,
August
ass
29th.
You
nigga.
ain't qualified.
The
What type of
Republican
nigga?
National Committee has rigged the rules of the game. why
Your
instituting
own
a set of
people.
They
criteria
finna say,
is
that's the system watch.
onerous. What is it? Onerous.
Onerous.
Onerous and
Mhm.
poorly
I
designed.
mispronounced Tupac, so you mispronounced onerous.
That's
So,
right.
so
He
what
can't read, Larry.
And he said,
He can't read, Uncle Larry.
and poorly designed that only establishment and billionaire candidates are guaranteed.
See,
to
he's
be on.
reading off of
Explain
something.
to us why that system hurts people.
Well, I ran for governor of California. I got 3.5 million votes. It seemed to me that made me credible. The RNC is requiring us to have 1% or 40,000 individual donors. In 2020, the DNC required you to have 1% or a certain number of donors for reasons that I don't quite understand. The RNC is requiring you to have both of them. One of the candidates in this race is a multimillionaire. He's offered a $20 gift certificate if you give $1. Another one is offering a free, air quotes, country western concert if you give $1. Another one is giving you a commission if you are a prospective donor to go out and get other prospective donors. It seems to me that corrupts the whole process. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way, Charlamagne. I'm asking
video
people
got
to
taken
support
down.
me. And
It
go to my
did?
website,
Yeah.
larryelder.com.
Copyright violation.
$1.
No way it got taken down, huh?
Yes, bro. I'm reading the chat.
I
People
will
are
be up
leaving.
on that
We got
stage in
taken
Milwaukee on
down.
August 23. When I get up there, game on. hold
Views
my
dropping
beer.
and
So
everything.
So would you-
Is this system holding you
Go
back?
ahead,
Would you
Sean.
say it's a system holding you back?
I would say it's unfair. It seems to me this early, the voters ought to decide this. I mean, in 2016, there were 17 or 18 Republican candidates. Now there's 13. Somehow,
Breakfast Club copyright?
Yeah.
Did they take the vid down?
They stopped our stuff.
That's wild.
Damn, it was third.